Hello students, welcome to the new lecture, and in this lecture we are going to discuss about three topics. One is the pathway of air, okay, epiglottis and passage of air, and activity 1. These three topics that we are going to discuss in this lecture. So the first is the pathway of air. So pathway means in which way, okay, in which way the air enters, that is known as pathway of air. If you see the passage, okay, starts with a nostril and enters into the lungs and so on. So in which way the air is going to enter, that we will discuss in the pathway of air. So the complete respiratory tract. What is respiratory tract? Respiratory tract means nothing but the air in which way they enters, okay, the pathway of air, that is known as respiratory tract. So the respiratory tract is that is starting from the nostrils and to the alveoli. So it means the nostrils. Here the nostrils are the, okay, starting point, okay. So and ending point is the alveolus, okay. So ending point is the alveolus. So this is the ending point. So by this way, by this way we can see the pathway of air. So in this pathway of air, the air is going to travel, and here you can see the moist, okay, the track is moist and warm. Okay, what is meant by moist? Moist means the water, okay, light layer of water is present in this track, and also there is some amount of little bit higher temperature that is known as warm. So the respiratory tract is, remember, the respiratory tract is moist and also warm. So you can see the respiratory tract here, starting with the nostrils and also ending with the alveolus, okay, in the lungs. So first starting is the nostrils. The nostrils is the entry of air through the nostrils means the entry of air through nostrils will occur. So by this way the air enters into the body. Through the nostrils the air enters into the body. That's the first starting point. So in the nostrils you will see some kind of air is present, some kind of hair is present. The main importance of this hair is to stop the dust particles. So next one will be the nasal cavity, the region that is covered with moist surface along with the hair inside. This region is going to filter. It means the air will get filtered with the help of this hair, and also some kind of moist will be there. Some moist mucus like secretions will be there. They are going to trap. It means, so the moist layer plus hair, they are going to filter the air, okay, filter the air. So this is the main important thing. If the air is not filtered, what will happen? Dust particles will get attracted or attached to the respiratory tract, that lead to the infections and diseases. So this is the reason why the respiratory tract is moist and with a hair, okay. So next one will be the filters the air along with maintaining the temperature. So some little bit amount of temperature is maintained, so that as a result some bacteria is going to die in that region due to the increased temperature, okay. Next is the pharynx. The pharynx is a common passage for the respiratory tract and also digestive system. In this diagram you can see this is the pharynx. So this region is the pharynx. So this pharynx is the common passage for the food and also air. So after that the pharynx is going to divide. The pharynx is going to divide into two paths, okay. So one is for the air, one is for the food, okay. Here the important structure is known as epiglottis. So here if you see, this is the pharynx, okay. So the pharynx is going to divide into separate two tubes, okay. So these are the separate two tubes. So here will be the larynx. So the larynx is present over here. So for example, if a person is eating the food material, after the esophagus, the epiglottis is going to close. As a result, the food material will not enter into the trachea. So this is the trachea and this is the esophagus, okay. This is the esophagus. Esophagus is mainly for the traveling of the food material. So this is a tube that will carry the food material to the stomach. In the previous classes, in the previous chapter, we have discussed that esophagus. You will see the wave-like movement. So this is the trachea. This is the esophagus. Okay, some amount of food when it's traveling, you will see the wave-like movement. So here the food is there. This food is nothing but bolus. When the bolus is seen, the before and after, you will see the wave-like movement. This is known as peristalsis. So this peristalsis will occur in the esophagus and also ureters of the kidney. So remember now, the in the esophagus, the in the esophagus there is a traveling of the food material only. Okay, but here you can see the traveling in the trachea, no chance for the food. The food will not enter, or the food should not enter, and water should not enter into the trachea. So this is a main important aspect. So such kind of regulation is done by the epiglottis. Epi means above. Okay, here the epiglottis is present, is going to block the trachea when the food and water is entering into the pharynx. Okay, this is the pharynx, and this is the esophagus. Okay, when the person is not eating or not drinking water, so then this epiglottis will open. As a result, the air naturally enters into the trachea, from the trachea into the lungs, and so on. So this is about main important. Again, here you can see this trachea is going to divide into two branches. Okay, two branches, and it will be going to supply the air to the either lungs. Okay, so to the both right and left lungs. So this is the process. Here you can see the larynx. Here is a stiff box containing the vocal cords. It vibrates when the air moves from the lungs to produce a sound. Here will be larynx. So this larynx is going to vibrate if you want to talk, if you want to sing, or whatever the sound that you want to produce. So here the larynx is a main important structure. It is a stiff box containing vocal cords. They will vibrate to produce a sound. Okay, so next is the trachea. So a pipe or tube that structures that enters into the lungs. So this is known as a trachea. So this trachea will divide into bronchus. Okay, can you see here the two tubes that entering into the lungs? These two tubes are known as bronchus. So again, this bronchus divides again into branches. Like here you can see the branches. These branches of the bronchus is known as bronchioles. Bronchioles means the fine division of the bronchus. Fine division of the bronchus into branches into the lungs. That is known as bronchioles. Okay. Next one will be the alveolus. Just now we have seen the bronchioles. These are the fine divisions. These bronchioles will turn into alveolus. So what is meant by alveolus? Alveolus is nothing but a tiny sac-like structure in the lungs. They are known as alveolus. This alveolus helps in the exchanging of the gases. Okay. So, and this alveolus are the bronchioles. These are bronchioles that leads to the formation of enters into the alveolus. Okay, and they are the clusters of sac-like structures called alveoli in the lungs. These alveoli are numerous. Numerous means more number, and small, very very small, that helps in the exchanging of the gases. Let us consider. We will draw the diagram even a little bit larger. Okay, so this is the alveolus. So this is the bronchioles. Okay, bronchioles. So here you can see the air, oxygen rich air enters into the alveolus, and carbon dioxide exit out of the lung, exit out of the alveolus. From the alveolus into bronchioles, from the bronchioles into bronchus, bronchus into the trachea, trachea to the outside of the body. Okay, and so on. So here you can see the blood capillaries. So these are the blood capillary. Okay, so through the blood capillary, what will flow? The blood will flow in the blood capillary. So here the oxygen is taken into the blood capillary containing blood. Okay, it means RBC is going to bind with the oxygen. So next, RBC, same RBC and also blood plasma is going to release carbon dioxide into the alveolus. So by this way, the exchanging of the gas is going to take place over here. So here the blood capillaries surrounding the alveolus. Here you can see the blood capillaries are surrounding the alveolus, and that helps in the transport of oxygen to the every cell in the body and collects the carbon dioxide from all cells. Okay. So here is a small flow chart. So first one will be the nostrils. Nostrils means where the starting point of the nose, that is known as nostrils. So the nostrils will enter into the nasal cavity. Nasal cavity means a space. Cavity means a space or a region. So in the nostrils, after the nostrils, there is space. That space is nothing but nasal cavity. So nasal cavity, let us consider this is the nasal cavity. So this nasal cavity turns into pharynx. So what is the pharynx? A common region for the, let us consider. Yes, this is the even easier. So this is the mouth. this is the mouth, okay, and this is the nostrils. So the nostrils into the nasal cavity, okay, this nasal cavity leads to entering into the pharynx, okay. So here the mouth, oral cavity, so here the pharynx is a common passage for the food, plus air, okay, food, water and air. Again here the pharynx is going to divide, okay, into two tubes, okay. One tube will be the trachea and another tube will be the esophagus, okay, esophagus, okay. So here the trachea, we have discussed how the esophagus enters into stomach and everything in the chapter 1, okay, in the nutrition. So here the trachea is there. This trachea is going to again divide into two branches. They are known as bronchus, okay, and bronchus entering into the each lung. It is going to enter into the each lung, right and left lung. So again they will divide into bronchioles. Fine divisions of the bronchus is known as bronchioles, and again the lead to entering into the small sac-like structure is known as alveolus. Okay, this is the structure. Can you see here in the flow chart also? So pharynx. So after the pharynx, here it will be the larynx. Okay, the starting point of the trachea. Here is the larynx. So above the larynx, what is there? There will be the epiglottis. Okay, epiglottis is present. So what is the reason? What is the main function of the epiglottis? The epiglottis is going to deflect the food and air. Let us consider. This is the pharynx. Okay, the epiglottis. When the person is eating food material, here the person is eating the food material. Food is taken. So here the person is not taking the food material. He is breathing. So here the epiglottis will be in this way. So the air enters. So the air enters into this direction, and here the food and water enters into this direction when the person is drinking or eating. So have you understood the main difference between the main function of the epiglottis? The main function of the epiglottis is to deflect the air and food material. So when the person is not eating or drinking, the air enters into the trachea. When the person is eating the food material or drinking water, the epiglottis will close this region. As a result, the food water enters into the esophagus. Okay, so larynx. After the larynx, what is there? Trachea. Okay, after the larynx, trachea is there. So trachea is nothing but, here we can see the ring-like structure, cartilaginous rings. Okay, these are cartilaginous rings that are present in the trachea. Okay, so that you can see this trachea in your just after the in the throat. Okay, so a tube that is carrying. So next is the bronchus. Okay, so the bronchus is there. Bronchus will divide into bronchioles. Again the bronchioles will divide into alveolus, and from the alveolus it will the oxygen gas will mix with the blood. Okay, so the alveoli of the lungs are numerous and they are tiny, very very tiny. They are in the millions, and they are lined with moisture and also help in the exchanging of the gases between the air and also blood. So as a result, they help in the exchanging of the gases. Remember, the alveoli is covered with moisture, moisture is a kind of a layer of moisture. So the surface area is enormous, and they are covered the nearly 160 square meters, which is equivalent to the tennis court. So the tennis court, how much the big size it is, the same will be the size of the one lung. Okay. So this is about the flow chart. There are some questions here. What will happen if the respiratory tract is not moist? So dust particles will reach the lungs through the nasal cavity without filtration. As a result, these dust particles will cause some kind of irritation, pain, and some kind of diseases. So the dust particles has to be trapped and they have to be stopped by the mucus layer and also along with hair present in it. So next, the increasing temperature of air is not possible. Okay, so the rate of and also along with it, the increasing of the temperature of air is not possible, and if the respiratory tract is not moist and if there is no maintaining of the temperature, the rate of gas exchange is reduced. Hence the oxygen is not sufficient for the for the respiration. So next question is, are both lungs similar in size? No, one lung is smaller in size, another lung is larger in size. So here you can see the left lung is slightly smaller than the right lung, just to provide space for the heart. So this is the reason the left lung is slightly smaller. Okay, Next is why are the alveoli are small and uncountable in number. Alveoli is small and uncountable number. So why? Because to increase the surface area, okay, to increase the surface area or for the larger surface area, so they are small and uncountable. As a result, the gas exchange is going to take place. So as a result, the surface of area of alveoli is increases as a rate of gases exchanges. Okay, it means the rate of gas exchange is also going to increase. So next is epiglottis and passage of air. So epiglottis, just now we have discussed, epiglottis is nothing but a flap-like structure. Okay, so after the nasal cavity, the air enters into the first nasal cavity, again then to the pharynx. The pharynx has the two passages. One passage is not to the lungs, another passage is to the stomach, that is nothing but esophagus. So here above the lungs, above the tube that entering into the lungs, that is known as a trachea, you can see the epiglottis. So this epiglottis is a flap-like structure that prevents the entry of food into the windpipe. You can call the trachea as a windpipe also. Okay, so here the epiglottis is allowing the entry of air into the trachea when the food is not consumed. So here in this diagram you can see the trachea. Above the trachea you can see the epiglottis. Okay, so when the food is not consumed, so this is going to deflect. It means that the epiglottis is going to deflect the food and air, and it makes the entry of food and air into their respective tracts. So next is why are we advised not to talk while eating. So if you talk while you are eating, the coordination between the brain and also epiglottis will disturb. As a result, if it get disturbed, what will happen? So some amount of the food material may enter into the trachea. If the food materials enters into the trachea, what will happen? So there is some uncomfortability. The person will cough a lot, so that the food materials has to be thrown out of the trachea. So as a result, the person is going to have like choking. It means choking is nothing but blocking of the respiratory tract and so on. So this will be the problem. So next one will be the activity 1. So in the activity 1, keep your palm 1 inch far from the nose and observe breathing. Okay, so if you observe, there is a exchanging of the gases. There is a flow of air from your nose to the outside and from the outside into the nostrils and so on. So now chew a piece of fruit or any food material and now engulf it. So during engulfing, so can you observe the breathing? Okay, while you are swallowing the food material, can you see the flow of air through your nose? Definitely not. So while you are chewing the food material, you can see the flow of air, but when you are swallowing any food material, the breathing stops. Okay, the breathing stops while you are swallowing. Why the breathing stops? Let us draw the pharynx, everything again. Okay, so here the epiglottis is there. Okay, so the epiglottis is there here. So this is the epiglottis, and while you are chewing, so what happens? It will be open in this way. So while you are swallowing, the epiglottis will move to this region. As a result, the food can move into the esophagus. Okay, so this is the reason. Okay, the question is, what did you notice? What happens when you breathe as you try to swallow? You can notice that the stopping of the breathing will be seen when you are swallowing. Okay, swallowing the food material. What is helping you to swallow without deflecting the windpipe? The epiglottis is helping while swallowing the food material, and that is going to prevent the entry of food to reach into the trachea or to enter into the trachea. So by this way, the food material can be prevented to enter into the trachea. So this is the main importance of the epiglottis. Okay, and I hope this lecture is helpful to you, and if you have any doubts, questions or suggestions, feel free to post in the comment section, and we will try to answer your doubts or questions. Okay, and we will discuss the next topic in the next lecture. Okay.